Welcome to the Women and Money Empowerment Show. My name is Yulin Lee, and I am your host. In these episodes, you will hear my heart-to-heart conversations with women from all walks of life, sharing their wisdom and their journey to success. I hope through these stories, you will find inspirations and affirmation that ordinary people like you and me, we can achieve extraordinary results and live an extraordinary life. Now, let's dive into today's show. Welcome, Caterina. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I am so appreciative of you taking the time with me today.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason I reached out to you and I wanted to invite you onto my show is because the type of work that you do, and it's very much in line with topic of this show, which is women money empowerment. I know you are a empowerment coach. You have a business called Vampire. So I would love for you to really tell our audience, what is it all about? But before we get into that, tell us who you are and maybe just give our audience some background about, who's Caterina Rando.
I'm a woman on a mission. I live in San Francisco, California, and I'm Italian American, and that matters because I'm second generation American, and my grandparents came through Ellis Island with just a few dollars in their pocket, and my parents were the first in their family to go to college. And we have this attitude in my family that, we're grateful to be here and we're grateful to be American. And my parents, even though they had their own careers, my dad's an engineer, my mom's a school teacher, they still were entrepreneurial. She still has this business called, I forget what it's called, but she sells like Italian novelty items, t-shirts to groups around the country. And my dad has a laundromat on the side. And today, my mom's been writing for the Italian paper for over 50 years. Today, they're still doing some entrepreneurial activities, and they're 90 years old.
Wow.
And I got in my upbringing that, it's good to have a stable something, but it's also good to have a little something on the side, what we would call a side hustle today.
Right.
And so I don't have a side hustle. In fact, I never really have had a real job unless Baskin Robbins scooping ice cream counts, because I got clear very early what I wanted to do. My first business was I owned a cafe and catering business. And one day this lady came in my cafe and she thanked me for some advice I'd given her. And she was so happy. She was beaming, and her gratitude literally touched my heart. And I thought, wow, this is what I want to do. And I sold my cafe, my catering business, and I became a coach. I had a coach. She thought I would make a good coach. I had a master's in counseling, which definitely is part of something that has benefited my clients over the many years. Because when you have your own business, it's not just about learning sales, marketing, operations, finance. It's also about building confidence in yourself, building the ability to bounce back from setback, cultivating determination. These are some key things that are really more about the person who is the entrepreneur than any particular hard skills to learn to run a business.
Yeah, wow. So it sounds like you have this entrepreneurship in your blood, right?
Yes, I like to think so.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I also think what you just said is so important, things like determination. It is all part of what it takes to actually be a successful entrepreneurship. So, tell us, what is this Vampire? I love the name.
Okay.
And I get it's feminine empire. I love it because it's in such a same spirit as my women and money empowerment, the theme for this show. So I would love for you to tell us, what is it about and how does it actually help women?
Most women start their business because they want to be of service. They don't necessarily say, I want to build an empire, right? The challenge is that we still need all the business skills to be successful in our service through our business. A lot of traditional, though, what we're taught about business, it's not personal, it's business. Keep your emotions close. Don't be, it's all about winning. this is ridiculous to a lot of women, including myself. And I want to cultivate ideas with women that really are going to resonate with them more, like wear your heart all over your business, like business is super personal, and to only work with people that you're excited to work with. Some key concepts that actually make it easier for women because and make them thrive, because they're not trying to be who they're not. One of the guiding principles is only sell to somebody that you know you can serve, right? Well, that's contrary to what some salespeople will tell you. It's like, hey, sell, sell, sell. No, because you're not going to feel good about selling to somebody that you can't genuinely serve. So it's embracing some key guiding principles that really are more female centric and work better for women. And that's why I talk about expanding your fempire.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think, what you mentioned about being of service, and I think that is something that a lot of women can all relate to, and including myself when I started my coaching business, was the fact that I want to help other people. And I think most people will agree with that. But there's a very kind of a tricky balance between being of service and also keeping in mind you do need to, kind of create a empire in your own way. Both to be financially sustainable and emotionally, feeling good on the long run. And so that's such a great balance that we all need to strive for, I think.
Yes, I want women in their businesses to massively monetize. And that is one of my specialties, because women often think, okay, well, I can pay my bills, so that's good. No, you need to build surplus for a rainy day or a pandemic. Obviously, we've learned, right? You also want to build additional resources for things that come up that they cost more, or you want to get a new computer or something like that. Plus, what about looking at using your business as a vehicle to build wealth and to ensure that you have a solid financial future? Because one of the things that I've learned is that financial stress is a significant stress factor for entrepreneurial women. And as you know, I had my own situation where my husband was taking care of the finances of the business, and I was more interested in selling and serving. And as a result, took my eye off of the finances, and this created a huge financial challenge for me. And it's not just the challenge, it's the stress that goes with it. I want women to have their business be their bliss. And that's what I can enjoy today. And that's what I want for every woman, because your business is supposed to be your bliss, not another source of stress. Otherwise, you might as well go get a job. Right? Let's have it be your bliss. And that's part of the financial ease that we want women to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you brought this up, because essentially what you're saying is we need financial independence.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what I, when I do my coaching, I talk about, the definition of financial independence is that a lot of people think of it as, meaning it's financially freedom. Well, financial freedom is more about monetary independence, monetary freedom. But for me, there's the other aspect of financial independence, and that is about not relying on another person, whether it's your spouse, your family, or whoever. And I think that's actually a big struggle for a lot of women, because we're being trained so much deep down to maybe, we just need to be growing up being this pretty wife and taking care of, good wife and taking care of the family, and then let the men take care of us. And we've all seen so many times that it becomes a trap for many women in that kind of thing. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And then I think the other thing you just brought it up is about, when I talk about sometime in my own coaching too, is there is that missing link between businesses and then their personal life. And so what you mentioned about when you're building your business, it's not just about the business itself. You have to also see the bigger picture even behind that, which is, what does it mean if I have a successful business? Is it just enough to have a break even to pay all my bills? Or is this something that actually going to help me build my own desired life?
Right.
Which I see that, a lot of women have that missing link between, how is their business success helping them to achieve their personal desire, their personal dreams. So thank you so much for actually bringing that up, because I think that's really, really important.
Absolutely.
What does success look to you? What, in your definition, what
Yeah.
is it?
Well, it's different for everybody, but for me, it's definitely feeling financially secure. So that means not only paying bills, but having financial surplus, having money for the future. I call it my old lady money, because at some point won't be able to do my thing as much. Although I was in Italy a couple years ago, and there was this woman, she was 75, and she was leading this group of tourists in Italy, and she had just come back from 6 months in India leading a group of tourists. I actually am a certified tour director, but I never pursued that much as a career. But my point is, I thought to myself, okay, do I want to be running around the world leading women's retreats, as you know I do, when I'm 75? And I thought, yeah, I do. The thing is, though, that you want to do it from a place of choice rather than a have to, right?
Yes.
So for me, success is being at choice about how I spend my time. And that includes travel and being able to go to even business related events that I think would be great. Success is being able to buy what I want to buy and not having to worry about the price tag, and having time to not work too.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes when I talk about these, the financial independence, and sometimes I get women who would say, well, but I love what I do, and I don't think I'll ever stop working because I love what I do. And, my response to that is, well, you're missing the point, right? The point here is about choice. Are you doing it because you have the choice? You can
Right.
choose to do it versus, well, you know what? I love what I do, but I still need the money to pay my bills. And I think that
Right.
is a very, very different place that we're in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's more a lot, Yulin, I know you'll agree with. It's about financial strategy,
Yeah.
and this is one of the things I focus on with my clients: speaking, selling, serving, strategy, and self-care. Those are the 5 pillars of Fempire Builder. And strategy is, okay, it's not just making money, it's looking at, okay, well, am I putting some away? Am I having extra in case something happens? Like all the questions that go into the financial aspect of your business. This is really what I want women to put more attention on.
Great, great, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And then I always ask every single one of my guests, how does money show up for you in your life? Because me being a money coach, I'm always interested in what people have to say about that.
How does money show up? Well, however it shows up, it makes me happy. I'm always happy when it shows up.
Mhm.
It shows up mostly through sales
Mhm.
for different. I would love it to show up. I did buy a lottery ticket the other day, $10 ticket, and we won $10. So that was good. But mostly it shows up through sales. And I think it's great. And I've had loans, Yulin. I think it's great for people to have loans if they need them, get a line. I want everyone to have a line of credit, have a relationship with their banker. The thing is, though, that mostly money is going to show up through our own efforts. And that's why I do want women to learn not just how to serve, but how to sell, because you can't serve, or you can't serve as much, right?
Mhm.
And that's mostly how it shows up, through sales.
Great, great. Money shows up with happiness. That's awesome.
Yes, it makes
Yeah.
me
And then,
definitely. And in fact, Yulin, I say, if somebody tells me, well, Caterina, how do you stay motivated? I sell something that makes me motivated. Or
Mhm.
if I get depresso, what do? I go sell something that makes me happy, because that's another opportunity to serve.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because it sounds like it's the opposite of retail therapy, right? When people get depressed, they usually go out to do retail therapy, and they end up spending money.
Right.
In your case, you're actually making money when you're depressed. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will admit, Yulin, that I have engaged in a little retail therapy every now and then also.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, you know what? When I work with my clients, I always say it's never about deprivation, right? It's not about depriving yourself to a point where you're feeling sorry for yourself. Oh, I can't spend this, I can't spend that because I need to save every penny. It's like, no, that's not my philosophy either. But what I talk a lot about is mindful spending, right?
Mhm.
So if in your budget you have allocated a certain amount of money for your indulgence, for your retail therapy, and I also have a bucket that's the make Yulin happy bucket, right? And that's okay as long as you staying within that. Then you can totally enjoy your retail therapy and still not feel guilty about it. Like what you said earlier, it's about strategizing and also being mindful in how we're allocating our resources.
Mhm.
So you mentioned something earlier about, your husband was taking care of the
Yeah.
finances and you took your eyes off. That really caught my attention. If you don't mind sharing that a little bit,
Yeah.
because I think, again, I work with a lot of women who end up in a divorce, who are going through a divorce. And
Yeah.
part of the biggest challenge for them is that they're getting the double whammy, right? Not only you go through the emotional roller coaster of breaking up a marriage and a family. But I think for women, in so many cases, they have this extra burden on their psyche and on their emotions about, holy cow, how do I support myself going forward? Because I have always relied on another person. And
Right.
so that journey, letting go of the finances is what you said earlier, has caused them to become a person who kind of really lost confidence in themselves around money, around finance. So if you don't mind sharing your journey and then maybe inspire others who may be going through the similar situation to maybe give them some tips on how to navigate through that, out of that.
And it's interesting that you mentioned about confidence, because today I am back to my full confidence, probably more confidence. But yes, during this challenge, I did question my confidence, not only around money, but around everything. So what happened, and this is unlike a lot of women, I like the serving part and I like the strategy part and I like the selling part. Because it's all about, seeing if you're a match for someone, right? So the managing the finances, my husband was putting his attention on that in my business. And then at some point, really, he started to make it more challenging for me to, like, if I would ask questions, we would have a fight, and really, I just took all my attention off it, because not only was he handling it, but if I tried to get involved, we would have a big argument. And of course, that doesn't feel good. And at some point, I became aware, he had to tell me that there was no money in the bank. And then I said, okay, well, to pay a big bill that was coming up for one of our retreats. And then I said, okay, well, take it out of my stock fund. And he said, well, that's gone. And then I said, okay, well, then we'll have to take it out of my retirement. And he said, that's gone. And then I said, okay, well, let's put it on the line of credit. And he said, oh, that's already been run up. And I said, okay, we'll put it on our personal credit cards. And he said, well, those are all run up too.
My goodness.
Okay. And so the thing is,
Wow.
I thought everything was great. And there was this financial, really terrible situation. And it wasn't even just about the debt. It was about my concern about being able to fulfill my promise to my clients, or going on a retreat in this particular case, or anything that they had been promised. And now how am I going to pay the bill? Which means that I took out 3 high interest loans. Now, what is high interest? That's when you're paying like 20%, my friend.
Wow.
It's like serious interest. But you know what? I was not going to throw in the towel. I was not going to say this happened and play poor me. I was going to fulfill my commitment. And that's where I learned about the value of being determined and doing whatever I could. And this happened, I guess, about 5 years ago now. And today, not only do we have surplus, the business is debt free. I feel more confident about my marriage did not survive. That was okay, because today I feel more confident. I feel more determined in my life, and I'm grateful for the life I have. And, there was a lot of good in my marriage, but that wasn't good too. So it's important also for us to take care of ourselves in our life and stand up for ourselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means leaving a marriage that's not working.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it, and I hope that the audience listening to this can walk away with some really good advice here. And I think what I'm picking up here is oftentimes, we see women going through these just horrific experiences. They tend to get into this space of how could I have let it happen to me? And kind of
Mhm,
like what you mentioned, playing the victim. Certainly, they were wronged, but
mhm,
at the same time, in order for us to get out of, the situation, you've
mhm.
just got to at some point say, you know what, it is what it is today, and then how do I move forward? So kudos for the courage that you took to do whatever it took to keep moving forward and get yourself out of there. So wow, thank you so much for sharing that experience.
Thank you, Yulin. And, if I can say, the thing is that I understand what happened. I mean, I told you about the screaming part, the arguing part, but the other thing is that I feel way more confident in all those other things I mentioned. So I was happy to turn it over.
Mm,
Really, that was the mistake because
right.
the lesson is that you really want to be on top of your own money in your personal life and in your business life. And if you don't feel like you're confident about money, get good partners. Today I have a great bookkeeper that we talk every month and we go over everything. I have a great accountant who I have good communication with. And earlier in my career, I tolerated having financial people that didn't communicate as well. And that's why I tell everyone, have a relationship with your banker. I have a personal relationship with my banker. I can call and I can ask for something I need and get immediate attention. This is very important for women in business.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. And because, in the book that I launched earlier this year, the theme of the book is really about becoming the CFO of your own life. And that's exactly what you just demonstrated in that you start to be in charge, but it doesn't
Right.
mean you have to do everything. I think that's the part that oftentimes when I tell people become the CFO of your life and they get scared, it's like, oh, but I don't want to do all that. But that's the thing is like you don't actually have to do
Right.
the all the execution, but you've got to be in charge. You've got to be the boss of everyone else that's working for you and building a team that actually supports you.
Exactly. That's where, like sometimes somebody will complain to me about a vendor, about a web designer or something. And I'll say, hey, don't, let anybody act like they're doing you a favor, taking your money. Okay. It's okay for you to have expectations. When is this going to be delivered? And I haven't heard from you and my project is behind schedule. And what are you going to do to fix it?
Yep.
Because sometimes we're more attached to being nice and being
Yes.
light. And
Right.
it's very important to recognize that it's okay to ask for what you want in business. In
Yeah.
fact, it's necessary.
Yeah. And it's all about being assertive, right? Being
Yes,
assertive, stepping into your
yes,
own power. And the irony is I think for a lot of women, like you said, we all try to be nice, but at the same time, when you actually step in your power and be assertive and ask for what you want, at the end you actually get more respect from that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I remember many years ago, Yulin, I had a vendor and I sent her a note. I said, I love working with you. And it always takes you several days to get back to me. And that doesn't work for me. And please let me know if in the future you can get back to me within 24 hours, or I'll have to find another resource.
Mhm.
And it's like 30 years later, Yulin, we're still working together
Awesome.
because I asked for what I wanted rather than
Yeah.
complain. That's the other
Mhm.
thing. People complain. A complaint is an unstated request. If you're
Mm,
complaining, there's something you're not asking for. So that's
mm.
an important place for people to look.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. A complaint is it unrequest is what? Say that again.
Unstated. It's an unstated request.
Unstated request.
Complaining
That's beautiful.
because you didn't make the request.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, thank you so much to being on the show with me. I know wow, time just flew by so quickly. And I would love for you to share some maybe parting words of wisdom for our audience.
Parting words of wisdom. Well, I got a lifetime supply of parting
Okay.
words. One
Yay.
of one of the things I encourage everyone to do is to really pay attention
Mm,
to, is this your bliss? Are you happy doing what you're doing? And are you happy in this relationship? Are you happy with your financial situation? sometimes we just go through life and we don't take a moment for reflection.
Yes.
And every day is a good day to make upgrades in your life. And that's a guiding principle I will leave everyone in with. Just always be upgrading. What's working in our life, Yulin, is working to the extent that it's working.
Yes.
If we can always look, how can we upgrade it? It can be working even better.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. So where can people find you if they wanted to reach out to you and learn more about you and what you do?
Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
I do a free workshop every month, virtual, at least one, sometimes two, on sales, on speaking, on doing retreats, on other hot topics. And if you go to caterinarando.com, you will see our events page with our upcoming free workshops. If you go to caterinarando.com/links, you will see all of my many free resources on blissing more in your business, and on all kinds of hot topics.
Great, great, awesome. Well, we'll be sure to include those in our show notes so that people can know where to reach you. So thank you so much for spending time again with me, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Yulin. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Women and Money Empowerment Show. If you ever have doubt for moments about yourself, your capability, or your worthiness, please remember to keep coming back to these stories and lean in, draw the wisdom and strength from these incredible women, and know that you also have what it takes to live a fulfilling life. Until next time, have a fabulous day.